The rabbis knew their text really well, and they picked up on some of the odd passages like Genesis 19, some of this language where God is speaking and then refers to God. And so between the testaments, they're coming up with candidates. Afterwards, though, after they declared a heresy, they need to come up with some other explanation because we can't accept that there's two. So later rabbis did this. Exodus 15:3 was sort of their beginning proof text. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. So what they said, Siegel cites one of the later rabbis. Here's his explanation or his exegesis. Yahweh is a man of war is to be interpreted as a descriptive statement referring to God's manifestation as a young warrior when he destroyed the Egyptians at the Red Sea. Yahweh is his name. That's necessary because at Sinai, he reveals himself as an old man. So what the rabbis are saying is, look, all this stuff that looks like two Yahwehs, it's really one Yahweh, but manifested in two ways. It's two modes. It's two manifestations. It's two sort of appearances. Is God ever described as an old man on Sinai? No, he's not. Okay, I'll just plant that seed right now because this is going to break down pretty quickly. But today, this is the rabbinical view, that we're talking about one person in two modes of existence. And they're going to try to go to their scriptures to demonstrate that. And the major text is Daniel 7. Siegel notes, again, the proof text used by the rabbis. As I looked on, thrones were set in place. The Ancient of Days took his seat. His garment was white as snow, hair and head like lamb's wool. So there, he's old. Throne was tongues of fire, again, just like Ezekiel 1. It's God. We know who that is. The court sat, the books were open. One like a human being came with clouds of heaven. He reached the Ancient of Days. And so there's this other one who's a man. So the rabbis say, aha, we've got an old God and a God who's a man figure. They're really the same guy, but depending on like where you were at and looked in the scene, you would see one and then you would see the other. And this one symbolizes this and that one symbolizes the other. Problem. There are other places that I'm going to show you, either at Sinai or not, where you have a description of God, and this breaks down. There's no old man in Exodus 3. Exodus 3 is the burning bush. There are two figures in there, and neither of them are old men. We'll show that passage in a moment. The warrior man who's elsewhere identified as the angel of the Lord, who's in the burning bush with Exodus 3, is with Yahweh, so how can they be the same? You could ask the same for Daniel 7. If they're both there at the same time, how are they the same in just different modes? Okay? And there's another passage that we'll look at that really creates problems for that. And third, the Son of Man in Daniel 7 is never cast as a warrior. So the rabbinical explanation of same God, two different modes, might sound like it works, but there are problems. These are three initial ones. Siegel admits this. He says, well, in his mind, this is the answer because he's Jewish. But he says, I have to be honest, it may easily be describing two separate divine figures anyway. So what do you gain? Not a whole lot. Let's go back to the scriptures, actually, and I'll show you what leads up to all this. The Jews were better off saying, hey, there's two, just like they did before they declared it a heresy, because that's going to become apparent when I go through this. They're better off doing that than after they declared it a heresy and saying, oh, it's just one guy in two forms. That one is really hard to defend. The other one is pretty much apparent.